Now, it's a very broad, a very wide subject which needs, I think, numerous sessions and numerous speakers specializing in various areas. It will not be possible for me to do justice to the entire gamut of culture that fortunately Telangana is so rich in. Basically, I feel that is also both a boon and a bane for us. It is this, I won't call it superior because I don't want to demean other cultures like others do when referring to Telangana. But the culture of this place has proven itself over centuries that it is different, it is distinct, and it is unique. Now, before speaking about the culture of the Deccan, I would take this opportunity to also communicate with you the reason that I, as most of our other brethren of Telangana, I am upset over what has been happening to the region. You all know, we admit it openly, Hyderabadis are laid-back people, nothing can move them. They are always half an hour late. With great difficulty today I managed to be on time, but I have a reputation of coming late. And I've explained it that this is part of what is in my blood. I cannot come on time. So that we have our flaws, we have our faults. We are very, aware of our shortcomings. But that doesn't give anyone any opportunity to say that we are incompetent, especially incompetent in administrating our own region, looking after our own people, voicing our own concerns. We are quite capable of doing that. For God's sake, we have ruled over the Deccan for more years than any other particular group in this area. Now, there must have been something which made us do that. Well, even this lethargic Hyderabadi that I am, who is not moved easily and who takes like chalta hai attitude that is there in Hyderabad, even I, a person like me, finally stood up and said enough is enough. And I said this after a heated discussion among the media and the public, wherein the general consensus of those opposed to Telangana was their insistence that the people of Telangana are incapable of governing themselves. Now that was one insult which I, as a son of Telangana, could not take. I said enough is enough, and the first words I spoke was that I'm not against anyone. I don't want to confront anyone. I just want people to leave Telangana and its people to themselves. Please, we have had enough. Please go. I stand by that because if the theory propounded by anti-Telangana activists or whatever you want, I won't even call them activists, the people opposed to Telangana, yeah, the lobby, if you stand by their analysis that we are incapable, I have reminded them and remind them again from this forum that that is precisely what the British told us. Winston Churchill was on record, he said, this country cannot rule itself, we have been ruling ourselves, good or bad. We might be killing each other, we might be fighting, but we are still a democracy, we are still a powerful state. We are on the verge of becoming a world power. And it is us who did it, not the British. By that same yardstick, the entire African region would not have achieved its independence because we have all been declared incapable of administrating ourselves. Having said that, I will come to the topic of today, which is syncretic culture in the Deccan. The Deccan is different. You won't find parallels to the Deccan in any part of the world. In the development, social and cultural development of India, Deccan has had a unique set of circumstances which made its culture, its people different from other regions. This is no boast, but it is because of the circumstances. The Deccan was protected against direct foreign influences because it did not share borders with alien countries. Whatever happened north of the Narmada had little impact historically on the Deccan itself. And similarly, the incursions into India, if you want to call them so, stopped short of the Narmada for a long time enough for those who had come in as invaders to acclimatize and become Indian before they proceeded to the Deccan in the Sultanate period. Similarly, the early contacts with the outer world in the south, extreme south, Konkan coast and Kerala, were business, trade. And naturally, there was minimal confrontation. And apart from that, Telangana was the hinterland, isolated from these coastal influences too. With the result that when the first incursions from Sultanate Delhi were made into the Deccan, the first is the lightning attack on Devgi by Sultanate forces. There was already an established presence of Muslims in the Deccan who had merged with the society and were enjoying quite affluent positions, although their numbers were restricted in the hinterland, but there was quite a marked presence in the coastal Konkan areas. So that is when this interaction took place. So it was not an interaction of confrontation as witnessed in the north of India, but an interaction which was like any other confrontation which would have been taken place between two local warring groups or warring factions. That was the basic and the basis on which the Deccan built its unique culture. Because this absence of prejudice, it was there in certain spaces of history, but by and large, the absence of bias on a religious note freed the people of Telangana from inhibitions, and they were more, attuned to, they were more, with more ease, they absorbed the influences of each other. Which is why you find some of the first notable impacts of syncretism in the Deccan. I'm sure most of you are aware of the early presence of Sufis in the Deccan. Varma mentioned that there was a presence of settlements in the area. It was not just settlements. Long before the Qutub Shahis established Golconda as their capital, there was a Muslim presence in Hyderabad. Baba Sharfuddin precedes the Qutub Shahi kingdom by more than a couple of centuries. And with him came new influences in religious thought, in social interaction and various other things which developed rapidly, and within a couple of centuries we have Ahmad Shah Al-Wali, the Bahmani king who shifted the capital from Gulbarga to Bidar. Al-Wali is regarded as the nodal point in syncretism in the Deccan. Even today, I think it is one of the last. There were quite a few till a few decades back, but his tomb in Bidar, Ashtur in Bidar, remains the last center of syncretic worship in the Deccan. I think in a couple of days from now, his annual Urs will be celebrated. It is just after Syncretic, if I remember correctly. And strangely, it is celebrated not according to the Islamic lunar calendar, but it is celebrated according to the Hindu calendar. And the procedure commences with the Jangam of a Linga Mutt, 80 kilometers away in the Gulbarga district, starting out on foot. Last year, I think he had more than 500 followers. It is said that in ancient times there were thousands who followed him, and others joined in from all over the region, Telangana, Marathwada, Karnataka, and they made a beeline for the tomb of Ahmad Shah. The Jangam, on reaching Bidar, goes to the house of the Mutawalli, the priest, you can say, in charge of the Dargah, where he is received, and he changes his robes. From being a Swami, he changes into being a Khair for the duration of the Urs. And from there, it is he who takes the lead. He leads everyone else to the Dargah of Ahmad al-Wali. It is he who has first precedence in performing the ceremonies there. He breaks a coconut, distributes the prasad, and the Mutawalli, he joins him, and after he finishes his part, then the Mutawalli starts his own rituals. The Jangam camps for 5 days in front of the Dargah, and after that he is taken in a procession all around that city, and he returns to his home in the Mutt in Gulbarga. Now this is still practice. If you want to, any one of you can go to Ahmad Shah al-Wali's tomb and witness this happening every year, even now. Because for the Lingayats, Ahmad Shah Wali is a reincarnation of Narasimha Saraswati. He is called Allama Prabhu. That is how they address him and they revere him there. Now he is not an isolated case. There were hundreds of such examples of syncretism. The last of which, of course, was in the last century. The Shirdi Sai Baba, again a product of Telangana. And that again is the promotion of the syncretic culture and worship of devas. I know most of the people who are following the religion on a very rigid basis will not agree with me in saying that there cannot be a common point to share in religions, but I beg to differ. We have found places of commonalities and we have highlighted that over the years. And even if you look at what happens in the Kuchipudi dance, the dance drama that was developed, it was the outcome basically of Sufi Bhakti exchanges, which resulted in the development of a cult there, which was